Hey, you, this is Sarah with Sarah Grace Live, and welcome back to the podcast. So thrilled that you are here and so thrilled to be diving once again, a big deep dive into the heroine's journey. Now, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, you got to stop right now. We're going to start talking about stage 5 in the heroine's journey, and you're going to say, wait, stage 5? I don't even know what stage 1, 2, 3, and 4 are. Your opportunity lies back in episode 27. So scroll back a little, take a listen, get a good overview for what the heroine's journey is all about so that you feel right at home here and how it can help you change your life, your business, your mindset, the whole gamut, right? We talk a lot about the heroine's journey, how it is the journey that really helps us become who we were always meant to be, who we were always called to be. And that, as Latter-day Saint women, that is so something that so deeply resonates with us. And we really want to attain that potential, that word that we hear so often, our divine destiny, our potential. All of those words lie in that journey of how we get there. And we're on stage 5 of what that journey looks like. It's been so fascinating to compare and contrast the heroine's journey with the hero's journey with Frodo and with Harry Potter and with Luke Skywalker. And then in sharp contrast, because they are women, with Rey from Star Wars, with Moana, with Rapunzel, with Mulan, all those amazing characters. It's been so fascinating to see what's the same, what's different, and today is no exception. So originally, when I started crafting the heroine's journey and how it applied specifically to Latter-day Saint women who are striving to become who they were always meant to be, I always had stage 5 called the battle, because this is the stage in which, yeah, she fights a pretty intense fight, but she really is on her journey. It's when she's actually taking action to act upon that spark that she received at the very, very beginning. So I've actually renamed this stage as I've dove deeper into the meaning of the heroine's journey. And I thought maybe we'll call it the road, maybe we'll call it the mountain. And all I could think of that was the most powerful way to say it is that this is the part where she actually journeys. This is the journey. You are in the middle of a journey. If you've had the spark, if you've determined who you are, if you've walked through the gate, if you've looked for allies along the way, you are now journeying. And this is exactly where we're talking about today on the podcast with the heroine's journey is the journey. And this is a step that both the hero and the heroine experience. And here's a really fascinating part of this. When we actually talk about the journey with the hero, this is kind of his last part. He goes on the big journey, he meets the adversary, he's saved by the divine, and then he's at the top of the mountain, right? And then that's kind of the end of the hero's journey. The heroine's journey is in sharp contrast because her journey is really sandwiched in the very, very middle of her experience. We still have 4 more stages to go after this, right? Like, we have a lot of growth that's happening that goes far beyond this initial journey that the heroine goes on. So let's talk about what this even means. What is this stage called the journey? Why is it stage 5? What does it teach us? And I've got to put a little bit of a tone here. Okay. If you've ever read Harry Potter, 7-book series, this part 5, called The Journey, is very, very similar to J.K. Rowling's book 5. Okay. The Order of the Phoenix, which I believe to be one of the hardest books to read out of the series because Harry's pretty ornery. Dumbledore's not talking to him. It's a really long summer. The world is crashing down, all those kinds of things. And it's kind of the hardest book for me to get through because he is so ornery the whole time. He is really battling in this book 5. And this is somewhat of the stage for the heroine. So I'm giving you that kind of a tone because as we talk about what this journey means for her and the fights that she faces as a heroine in this stage of her journey, it's important to remember that this is one of the harder parts. This is one of the more painful parts. This is one of those parts where she really gets to dig deep and become something different, but it's painful. It's tiring. It's a lot of work. And there are some things that really creep up along the way. So I'm setting the tone there to invite you to be really wildly present right now as we dive deep into this, because some things we're going to talk about are going to feel painful. You're going to feel like Sarah doesn't understand me, or the heroine's journey doesn't understand me. My circumstances are different. And the reality is if you can grasp this stage of the journey as part of you, and is something that could radically change you and help you get to the next level in your life, in your faith, in your relationships, if you allow it to change you, it will. And there are wonderful things on the horizon ahead for you. So I invite you to be wildly present and accepting of some new ideas and things that we're going to talk about that might be a little bit painful. So, what is the actual stage 5, the journey? This is when the heroine is actually doing the things she felt sparked to do. So, I'm a high strategy business coach. This is when my entrepreneurs are actually building the business, right? They are developing products, they are doing marketing plans, they are collaborating, like they're actually building the business. Maybe your journey is to heal a relationship. So this is you actually learning about mediation, and this is maybe you taking action and going to a therapist or spending a lot of time journaling or whatever that process looks like for you to have wholeness. This is you actually acting on that spark and going on a journey. So this is when Mulan, she's actually living the day to day of being a man in the warriors camp, right? This is Moana, where she is on the boat and she's on her way to find Maui. Okay. This is Rapunzel, where she felt sparked to see the floating lights. She's negotiating with Flynn Rider and has already jumped out of the tower and is on her journey to find those floating lights, right? We are actively, this is an action step, right? And because it's a moment of action for that heroine, it also must mean that faith is going to play a huge role in where she's at, because some really tough things start to really boil up when she's actually doing the thing that she felt called to do. Okay. So here's what happens. The heroine gets really hung up on the fact that she feels at a natural disadvantage to accomplish what she has felt sparked and excited to do. I want you to think in terms of Disney for a minute. Moana, it is a fact. She cannot sail. Okay. She doesn't know how to sail. And she's got like the funny little chicken guy who's not going to help her learn how to sail. She doesn't know how to sail. Okay. Mulan, she is physically not as strong as the other men, and she doesn't know how to fight, right? That hasn't been part of her upbringing, and she feels at a natural disadvantage. Rey can't even imagine her journey ahead because she's like, all I am is a scrappy individual who's waiting for her family to return. Like there's nothing about me that's special, that's extraordinary. I can't accomplish good things other than survival. That's all I know how to do. That's my only skill set. How could I ever do something beyond simply surviving? Okay. So as we look in the world of Disney, we start to see that they feel at a natural disadvantage to accomplish what they were excited to do and felt called to do. And that can be a moment of massive discouragement. So we as entrepreneurs, or even as Latter-day Saint women who are not entrepreneurs, we often get stuck that we feel at a natural disadvantage because of certain things. So, for example, we will say, I can't build a business because I don't have enough time. Okay. I can't be successful as an entrepreneur because I don't have a degree. I can't build a business successfully because I don't have the money to invest that is required for it to start up. I can't do a startup, etc. Like women don't do those things, right? We start to feel like I don't know how. Like I don't even know how to start a business. That's really cool, Sarah, that's what you do, but I don't even know where to start, right? Now I want you to look, because I tell you what, the game has changed in 2021. Oh my word. The world of business has changed and the world has changed. And so you get really, really stuck because you're like, I can't keep up because I don't have the time. I don't have the degree. I don't have the knowledge. I don't have the money to do it. What does that mean? And I want you to really listen open, like with a really open heart, because you may not be building a business. That may be how you found the podcast, and that's great. But this also applies to relationships. There's external things that we are saying, this, I'm at a natural disadvantage because of this, this, and this, right? And so here's what I want to point out is, just like Moana, just like Mulan, just like Rey, just like me, just like you, we largely think that there are external factors that we don't have control on. Like they are fact. These external things feel like facts to us. I do not know how to sail. I am physically not strong. I do not have a business degree. I do not have extra time in my day. I do not have extra money in my bank account. They are external factors that are impeding our ability to accomplish what our heavenly parents have sparked us to do from the very beginning. And so this moment comes where you're like, what gives? Right? Like what gives? I felt sparked to do. Like I thought that the Lord would provide a way. Isn't that what he promised Nephi? right? That the Lord would provide a way. Like it always seems to work out. But why can't I see this journey ahead? Because I'm at a natural disadvantage. So we start to really place the blame on a lot of external factors. Okay. Let me give you an example of how we are going to actually get out of this book 5, Harry Potter discouragement. Okay. Because that's what it felt like to me when I read that book. How do we get out of it? How do we get out of blaming these external factors? So I want to walk you through a reframing of this. Okay. If you have an external belief, you feel at a natural disadvantage on building a business because you don't know how to build a business. Here's the reality. You ready for like a tough love coaching moment? Okay, here it is. The reality is all of the answers that you need are out there and they are free. Welcome to the Google, proper noun. Okay, welcome to Google. If you want to learn how to build a business, you can absolutely go on Google and get started and build a business. You can. You absolutely can. Yeah, you don't have a degree. Maybe you feel like you don't have money to invest, but I'm here to tell you that you have a phone in your back pocket, or you are listening to this podcast from a phone that you could build a multi-million-dollar business from, and you can Google how to do it. Okay. So you not having money to invest is not a factor. Not having a degree is not a factor. Not knowing how to build a business is not a factor because of the Google. Okay. Because of 2021, the game has changed. The game has changed. So the thing that is stopping us is not the external factor. It's not. You can download an app for anything. Maybe you say, I don't have enough time. You can download an app for time management. Maybe I don't have enough energy. You can download a fitness app. Maybe I'm not very good with money, or I need to figure out how I'm going to invest in my business, get a money management app. Maybe I need to stillness. I need to learn how to meditate. You can download it. It's everything is accessible and everything is free. So why are we not getting out of stage 5? Why is it not taking off? Why are we not getting it done? Well, it's because the battle here in this moment in stage 5, the journey, is actually another internal battle. Like, go figure, right? Like, go figure that with the heroine's journey, that it's not the external thing, it's something within us. It's something within our stories, our minds, our heart, our emotions that is stopping us. Okay. No one is physically stopping us. We are internally stopping ourselves. We're saying we're blaming it on time management. We're blaming it on not having enough money. We're kind of pointing the finger left and right to say, this is why I can't do it. This is why I can't do it. So let's get out of it, shall we? Here's the invitation. Okay. The first is to really accept and believe that the thing stopping us is not an external factor. Time is not stopping you. Money or the lack thereof is not stopping you. Okay. What does that mean? What does that mean? Well, we need to first recognize what is really stopping us. So I'm going to give you a couple of common internal battles that I have seen so many diehard members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints who are women and entrepreneurs fight. Okay. These kinds of internal battles. You have some kind of story inside that is stopping you. You have a story, something you are telling yourself that is stopping you. Okay. Maybe that women can't build businesses, or that women aren't supposed to build businesses. I feel shameful that I want more out of my life when I am so richly blessed. I feel guilt that I want a life that includes motherhood and expands beyond motherhood. How can I be so richly blessed, so much better off than others, and still want more? I want to be known as someone that is humble. So therefore, I can't be vocal and bold and run a business. Or even this one. This is a really, really common one, that we associate martyrdom with righteousness, that we believe a life spent giving all to others is considered a righteous life and the life that we are meant to live. Okay. This moment might be a tad painful. Okay. I think I warned you about this just a few minutes ago. Okay. This moment might be really, really painful. I've been through that kind of painful moment when I came to the realization that I was stopping myself. And it's associated with what I have found to be one of the biggest tactics we use as women to not move forward out of stage 5. And that is blame. Okay. Blame is a really, really interesting tool. And I'm going to allow this to be painful for anybody listening. I've been through it too. Often we blame the fact that we can't accomplish the things we feel sparked to accomplish because we have a family, because we have young kids, because we have a calling, because we have husbands, because we have no gifts in tech, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Where are we pointing our fingers to the left and to the right and blaming for not accomplishing our goals and dreams and the things that we feel like we have been called to do? And so here's how the process may look. Okay. And this is taken straight out of my own life. This is super personal and something that I feel comfortable talking about because I am beyond stage 5 in this, but this is where the pain came from. My amazing husband, I hit the lottery by marrying Greg. My amazing husband chose medicine as his chosen field of choice. All right. That was a little bit redundant, but you can see just how personal this is. So when we got married, he did the master's program. I always say we because it felt like a joint effort. He did the master's program. He did 4 years of medical school. He did 4 years of residency and really, truly, was home 1% of the time. That was the reality. And in that process, I had 4 kids and I was living across the country with no family to help me. We were in Arizona, we were in Louisiana, lots of moving. They get paid about $4 an hour for what they do as residents. They don't get paid at all in medical school, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm painting this really kind of dire picture, okay? That we didn't have the money to invest in the things I really wanted to do. And that there was no way that he could accomplish his goals and dreams in medical school if he did not have a wife at home to take care of kids, to do laundry, to cook, to clean, to take care of insurance, all those things that he needed in order to be supported as a student in medicine. Now, sure, hindsight is certainly very 2020 now that he is finished with residency and he's an attending. However, I lived for years in those years in a world of blame. I blamed him. I blamed the fact that because he had chosen this thing, I didn't have time to accomplish things that I wanted to do. Because he had chosen this line of work, I did not have extra money to invest in the business. Now, I am really, really proud to say that I came across someone who absolutely kicked me in the rear end before he ever finished training and pointed out my view of blame. They said, "Is it possible that your husband's choice in medicine is not the source of all your problems?" That's what she said. Is it possible that your husband's choice in medicine is not the source of all your problems? And I just about died, my friends. You know why? Because she was right. She was right. And not only was I blaming him for not being able to accomplish the things I was feeling called to do, not even wanted to do. I felt called to do, but I also held very closely to my heart that martyrdom was a virtue. And martyrdom was something that was righteous. And those two things left me in stage 5 for far too long. Oh, my dear. Oh, my word. So what does that mean? It really comes down to the opposite of blame. What's the opposite of blame? The opposite of blame is accountability. That as you sit in that moment and you feel like you're pointing your finger at your kids or your husband or life circumstances, and you feel like nobody understands, nobody gets me, even listening to this podcast, Sarah doesn't get me. Instead of pointing blame, take accountability. Take accountability. Have that be part of the conversation moving forward. And I will tell you, the thing that changed everything with my blame and my martyrdom is close to righteousness was actually quite fully resolved within a 30-minute conversation with my husband. I sat with him, a rare 30 minutes in which he was home, and I said, "This is something I really want to do. I'd love your support in it, regardless of what you think that can or cannot look like. But this is something I would really, really like to do. How can we make it happen as a family?" etc., etc. And that conversation, powerfully held, changed everything. It changed everything in our marriage. It changed everything of me moving out of victimhood into accountability, into the accountability zone. And it allowed me to take accountability for my life day in and day out. And it changed everything. Okay. This is the moment of pain. This is the moment that when Disney starts to show that the actual heroine is moving from stage 5 to stage 6, when she actually takes accountability, there's typically a breaking point. Okay. She cries, she's about to give up. And then Disney often sets the scene with music and moves her forward to accountability, and it helps her become something great. So, this is the moment, for example, in Mulan, where she is failing at every physical task ahead of her. She doesn't know how to shoot the arrows. She doesn't know how to fight. She can't go on that big long hike with the bags on her shoulders, that yoke on her shoulders. She can't do it. She physically can't do it, right? The external factor. She goes into the tent. She cries her eyes out. She's ready to give up. And then she has a moment. And yes, I just snapped my fingers. She has a moment where she looks up the pole. Okay. And she sees the big arrow that's at the top that she's supposed to climb to. And she sees the discipline rings on her wrists. And she is sparked with an internal momentum and an internal moment of revelation. It's a moment. The conversation with my husband, a moment. Okay. Moana has the same experience where she's gone through the big ocean crash and she's sitting there on her sailboat and she's about ready to give up. Her grandmother comes to visit her, reminds her of who she is, gives her revelation, and it is a moment of momentum. And even though she doesn't know how to sail better in that moment, because she solved something eternally and took accountability, her journey begins again. It's the greatest moment. I love it so much. So, this is a moment for you. When you start to feel at a natural disadvantage, oh my word, call it for what it is. Be like, oh my gosh, Sarah warned me about this. I don't feel smart enough. I don't have a degree. I don't have enough money to invest. Everyone else is doing better than me. Like all these external things. I don't have a nice enough computer to make this happen. I don't have the time. You're going to say, wait a minute, something internally is going on. What is the story that's going on? And choose the road of accountability. What is on the other side of that is a God moment. Right? It's a God moment of momentum and revelation, and it happens every single time. Isn't that the greatest? Isn't that the greatest? I'm going to read these lyrics and a couple of quotes and then charge you to start recognizing the external disadvantages that you feel you are in and also calling it what it is, the internal battles that you really need to fight in order to move on in your journey. Here are some lyrics from the I Am Moana song, The Moment of Momentum and Revelation. I know a girl from an island. This is her grandmother talking to her. She stands apart from the crowd. She loves the sea and her people. She makes her whole family proud. Sometimes the world seems against you. The journey may leave a scar, but scars can heal and reveal just where you are. The people you love will change you. The things you have learned will guide you, and nothing on earth can silence the quiet voice still inside you. That's the spark, by the way. And when the voice starts to whisper, Moana, you've come so far. Moana, listen, do you know who you are? Now Moana speaks. This is her moment of momentum and revelation. Who am I? I'm a girl who loves my island and the girl who loves the sea. It calls me. I am the daughter of the village chief. We are descended from voyagers. Notice how she's pointing out all the external, right? Who found their way across the world. They call me. Now she takes accountability. I've delivered us to where we are. I have journeyed farther. I am everything I've learned and more. Still, it calls me. And the call isn't out there at all. It's inside me. It's like the tide, always falling and rising. I will carry you here in my heart. You'll remind me that come what may, I know the way. I am Moana. The moment of revelation and momentum. There it is. There it is. Let me give you two quotes to end with as you go into a world of calling out the external things you think are holding you back, and then fiercely naming and taking accountability for the real internal battle you are fighting. This is a question that President Nelson was asked in a past conference about, is it hard to be the prophet? A little girl named Pearl asks him that question. Is it hard to be the prophet? And he says, of course it's hard. Everything to do with becoming more like the Savior is difficult. For example, when God wanted to give the 10 Commandments to Moses, where did he tell Moses to go? Up on top of a mountain, up on the top of Mount Sinai. So Moses had to walk all the way up to the top of that mountain to get the 10 Commandments. Now, Heavenly Father could have said, Moses, you start there and I'll start here and I'll meet you halfway. No, the Lord loves effort because effort brings rewards that can't come without it. Yes, Pearl, it takes effort, a lot of hard work, a lot of study, and there's never an end. That's good. That's good because we're always progressing. Even in the next life, we are making progress. So I would challenge you to move forward with the wonderful final words of St. Augustine. You've heard this before, but picture it as a heroine, what this means for you. Pray as though everything depended on God, and work as though everything depended on you. And I want you to envision, maybe you need to take some time today to Google the scene in Mulan or even Moana, where they go through that moment of momentum and revelation, where that change happens and they become something different, because that's the point, right? That's the point of this incredible heroine's journey, is for you to become who you were always meant to be. And the real victory behind what you will experience is that every single time he will tell you who you are. He will allow you to take accountability to become something greater. Every single time that moment of momentum and revelation is yours. You can do this.